The black SUV appeared in Linda's rearview mirror at exactly 7:47 a.m., following too close for normal traffic. Her years of Secret Service training kicked in automatically. Threat assessment, escape route calculation, passenger protection protocol. The 43 children on bus number 47 were laughing and talking, unaware that their gentle bus driver was about to become their guardian angel. Welcome to Whispers of Lives. Before we begin this incredible story of a beloved school bus driver whose steady hands once navigated presidential motorcades through the most dangerous situations imaginable, tell me in the comments where you're watching from today. And if you believe that some heroes spend their retirement protecting the most precious cargo of all, hit that subscribe button and share this story to help us honor those who never stop serving. Linda Thompson had been driving the same school bus route for 12 years, and she knew every detail of Route 12 like a map burned into her memory. Every pothole, every sharp turn, every place where children might dart into the street, chasing a runaway ball. At 54, she'd become as much a part of Maplewood's morning routine as the sunrise itself. The children adored her. 8-year-old Sophie always saved her the best drawings from art class. 10-year-old Marcus shared complicated stories about his pet hamster's adventures. 12-year-old Sarah, wise beyond her years, often helped Linda manage the younger kids when they got too excited about field trips or snow days. To the parents lining up at bus stops every morning, Linda was reliability incarnate. She arrived precisely on time, remembered every child's name, and somehow always had Band-Aids for scraped knees and tissues for runny noses. More than once, she noticed when a usually cheerful child seemed withdrawn and quietly alerted teachers or counselors who could help. What none of them knew was that Linda Thompson's gentle attentiveness had been forged in the most demanding training facilities in the country. Before she'd started picking up children for school, she'd been Agent Linda Thompson, United States Secret Service. For 18 years, she'd driven in presidential motorcades, navigated diplomatic vehicles through hostile territories, and been personally responsible for the safety of world leaders whose decisions shaped global politics. She'd been one of only 12 women certified for presidential transport detail, qualified to drive everything from armored limousines to emergency evacuation vehicles. She completed advanced tactical driving courses that most law enforcement officers never even heard of, learned evasive maneuvers that could save lives in split-second decisions, and been trained to make calculations under pressure that meant the difference between international incidents and successful diplomatic missions. Linda had protected 3 different presidents during her career, transported foreign heads of state through zones where sniper fire was a constant threat, and once drove a wounded ambassador to safety through a city under siege. Her record was spotless, her dedication unquestioned, and her skills legendary among those who knew what to look for. But 18 years of living with that level of responsibility had gradually worn her down. Not from fear. Linda had never lacked courage, but from the weight of knowing that every decision she made could have consequences that rippled through history. The constant vigilance, the need to analyze every face and every crowd, the knowledge that she was always one mistake away from catastrophe. She'd retired not because she couldn't do the job anymore, but because she'd found something she wanted to do more, protect children who had their whole lives ahead of them, rather than politicians whose best years might be behind them. The transition hadn't been easy. For the first few months of driving the school bus, Linda had found herself conducting threat assessments on soccer moms and scanning for snipers at Little League games. But gradually, the rhythm of small-town life had worked its healing magic. The biggest crises were forgotten lunch money and playground disputes. The most dangerous situations involved icy roads and the occasional escaped classroom hamster. Linda had thought she'd left her old life behind completely, until this morning. The black SUV in her rearview mirror was maintaining exactly 50 feet of distance, professional surveillance spacing. The driver wore sunglasses, despite the cloudy morning, and Linda could see a second figure in the passenger seat. More concerning was the brief metallic glint she caught from the dashboard area. These weren't random criminals looking for an easy target. This was organized, planned, professional. Linda's hands tightened slightly on the steering wheel, but her voice remained perfectly calm as she addressed her 43 passengers. "Good morning, everyone. I hope you all finished your homework last night." A chorus of responses filled the bus, some enthusiastic confirmations, some guilty admissions, and a few creative excuses that made Linda smile despite the growing tension in her chest. "Mrs. Linda," called out 9-year-old Emma from seat 12. "My mom said to tell you thanks for helping me with my math flashcards yesterday." "You're very welcome, sweetheart," Linda replied, checking her mirrors again. The SUV was still there, still maintaining that professional distance. "How did your quiz go?" "I got an A," Emma announced proudly, causing several other children to cheer and clap. Under normal circumstances, Linda would have been genuinely delighted by Emma's success. Today, she filed the information away while her mind focused on more pressing concerns. In her side mirror, she caught sight of movement from the opposite direction. A white panel van approaching at a speed that didn't match normal traffic patterns. Classic pincer movement. Two vehicles, one trailing, one approaching head-on, designed to trap the target between them and force compliance through overwhelming presence. Linda had seen this exact maneuver used against foreign dignitaries who were being targeted for kidnapping or assassination. She'd also been trained extensively in how to counter it when protecting American officials abroad. "Mrs. Linda, are we taking a different way to school today?" asked Marcus, the observant 10-year-old who noticed everything. "Just checking on something, Marcus," Linda replied, her voice maintaining its warm, motherly tone. "Sometimes we have to be flexible with our routes." But internally, Linda was conducting rapid tactical calculations. 43 children, ages 6 through 14, all depending on her to get them safely to Maplewood Elementary School. The bus itself was a 40-passenger vehicle weighing approximately 15 tons when loaded, unwieldy compared to the vehicles she'd once driven, but potentially useful as a defensive weapon if properly handled. Her route to the school normally took her through a residential area with multiple side streets and escape options. But the white van was positioning itself to block the main intersection ahead, the turn that would take them into the neighborhood surrounding the school. Linda reached for the radio microphone clipped to her visor. Standard protocol for any bus driver experiencing mechanical problems or safety concerns. But as she lifted the mic, she noticed the SUV's passenger window beginning to roll down. "Kids," Linda announced, her voice taking on a tone of calm authority that several of the older children had never heard before. "I need everyone to listen very carefully. We're going to play a safety game." The chatter on the bus immediately quieted. Even the youngest children sensed that something had changed in Mrs. Linda's voice. "I need everyone to get down low in your seats and stay very, very quiet. Can you do that for me?" "Is everything okay, Mrs. Linda?" asked Sarah, the mature sixth grader who was old enough to recognize when adults were trying to protect children from adult problems. "Everything is going to be fine," Linda said firmly, her eyes never leaving the mirrors. "But I need you all to trust me completely and do exactly what I say. This is very important." As the children complied, Linda's muscle memory took over. She reached under her seat and activated a GPS emergency beacon she'd installed when she first started driving the bus. Not standard equipment, but an old habit from her federal service days. Emergency responders would now have her exact location and be automatically alerted to a potential crisis situation. She also switched her radio to the emergency frequency that connected directly to the county sheriff's dispatch center. "This is school bus 47, operator Linda Thompson," she said calmly into the microphone. "Code yellow situation, possible attempted vehicle intercept. Route 12, approximately mile marker 7. 43 children on board, requesting immediate backup." The response was immediate and professional. Bus 47, this is County Dispatch. Confirming code yellow. Are you requesting immediate tactical response? Before Linda could answer, the black SUV accelerated and pulled alongside her bus. The passenger window was now fully down, and Linda saw exactly what she'd expected. A man in dark clothing pointing a semi-automatic weapon directly at her driver's side window. The weapon wasn't pointed to kill. It was angled to disable, to force compliance. Standard kidnapping protocol. Control the driver, control the vehicle, control the situation. This is now code red, Linda said into her radio, her voice steady despite the circumstances. Armed intercept in progress. Request immediate tactical and medical response. The man with the weapon was making gestures for her to pull over to the side of the road. His movements were calm, professional, practiced. This wasn't his first time conducting this type of operation. Linda pressed the accelerator. The school bus wasn't designed for high-speed maneuvers, but Linda knew how to use every mechanical advantage it offered. More importantly, she understood how to use the vehicle's size and weight as tactical tools rather than limitations. The SUV matched her acceleration, trying to force her toward the roadside. The driver was skilled, maintaining precise positioning to limit her options. But Linda had been in similar situations before, and she'd been trained by the best defensive driving instructors in the world. Instead of fighting the SUV's pressure toward the shoulder, Linda suddenly steered hard right, not toward the roadside, but directly toward the white van that was attempting to block the intersection ahead. "Hold on tight, everyone," she called out to her passengers. "This might get a little bumpy." The children, trained by countless school emergency drills, grabbed their seat backs and stayed low. Several of the older ones were quietly reassuring the younger children, showing exactly the kind of courage and community spirit that made Linda proud to serve this community. Linda aimed the bus directly at the white van's rear quarter panel, not a head-on collision that might seriously injure her passengers, but a precise impact designed to disable the blocking vehicle while allowing her to maintain forward momentum. The van driver, seeing 15 tons of school bus bearing down on his position, made the critical error of trying to accelerate forward instead of backing up or turning aside. Linda had counted on this reaction. Panic makes people drive toward what they think is safety, even when it's actually the worst possible choice. The bus struck the van's rear bumper with a grinding crash of metal and plastic. The impact spun the smaller vehicle sideways and sent it sliding across the intersection into a roadside fence. Linda maintained control of the bus, using its momentum to push through the intersection while the damaged van came to rest against a telephone pole. "Wow, Mrs. Linda," shouted Tommy, the usually shy 8-year-old from seat 7. "You're like a superhero." "Stay down, Tommy," Linda replied, checking her mirrors. The black SUV was still following, but she could see uncertainty in the driver's movements. The professional confidence was gone, replaced by the hesitation of someone whose carefully planned operation had just encountered an unexpected level of resistance. Linda's radio crackled with updates. "Bus 47, this is Unit 23. We have visual on your location and are closing distance. Status report on passengers and operator." "All passengers secure and uninjured," Linda responded, continuing toward destination with one pursuit vehicle still active. Black SUV. Partial license Delta Charlie 76. At least 2 armed occupants. She could see the sheriff's cruiser in her rearview mirror now, closing distance rapidly with emergency lights flashing. But she also noticed the SUV's passenger reaching for something, either another weapon or a communication device. Linda made another tactical decision based on 18 years of experience protecting high-value targets. She suddenly applied her brakes, causing the SUV to overshoot her position as its driver reacted to the unexpected deceleration. As the SUV passed alongside the bus, Linda accelerated again and executed a maneuver she'd learned during Secret Service advanced tactical driving training, a modified pit technique. using her vehicle's superior weight and the precision timing she developed over years of high-stakes driving. The bus made contact with the SUV's rear quarter panel, transferring just enough momentum to send the smaller vehicle into an uncontrolled spin. The SUV's driver fought to regain control, but physics and Linda's expertise won the battle. The vehicle skidded sideways off the road and came to rest in a drainage ditch, steam rising from its damaged radiator. Linda continued driving until she reached Maplewood Elementary School, where a coordinated response team of law enforcement officers, paramedics, and school officials was already waiting. Word of the incident had spread quickly through the small town's communication networks, and worried parents were beginning to arrive as well. As the children filed off the bus, many of them hugged Linda with the fierce, uncomplicated affection that only children can provide. They chattered excitedly about their adventure, already turning the morning's crisis into the kind of story they'd tell for years to come. "Mrs. Linda, you saved us," declared Sophie, the same little girl who'd been looking forward to sharing her latest artwork just an hour earlier. "We all kept each other safe," Linda replied, touched by their trust and gratitude. "You were all very brave and did exactly what you needed to do." Detective Ray Martinez approached Linda as she completed her post-incident vehicle inspection, a habit from her federal days that she'd never abandoned. "Miss Thompson, that was some remarkable driving. Where exactly did you learn to handle a vehicle like that under pressure?" Linda looked at the detective, then at the children being joyfully reunited with their worried parents, then back at the damaged SUV being loaded onto a police tow truck. "I used to have a different job, Detective," she said simply. "What kind of job?" Linda smiled the same gentle, warm smile that had comforted thousands of children over the past 12 years. The kind where keeping people safe was the most important thing in the world. Some things never change. Over the following hours, as federal agents arrived to investigate what appeared to be a coordinated kidnapping attempt targeting the school bus system, Linda's background slowly came to light. The FBI agents who interviewed her spoke with the respectful tones reserved for colleagues they'd heard about, but never met. The children she protected had no idea that their beloved bus driver had once navigated presidential motorcades through war zones, had been personally responsible for the safety of world leaders, and had been decorated for valor in situations that remained classified to this day. When the initial investigation was complete, Linda found herself fielding job offers. The county sheriff wanted her to head up their tactical response unit. Federal agencies made discreet inquiries about her availability for consulting work on transportation security. The state police asked if she'd consider teaching advanced defensive driving techniques. Linda politely declined all of them. The next morning at 7:15 a.m., she was back behind the wheel of Bus 47, following the same route she'd driven for 12 years, picking up the same children she protected the day before. Sophie waved enthusiastically from her front yard, already back to her normal cheerful self. Tommy bounced down his driveway with his backpack dragging behind him, eager to hear if there would be any more adventures. Marcus asked thoughtful questions about police procedures and emergency response protocols. "Are we going to have any more exciting days, Mrs. Linda?" asked Emma, the little girl whose math quiz success had been overshadowed by the morning's events. "Just the regular kind of excitement," Linda promised with a smile. "The kind where we all learn new things and look out for each other." As she drove the familiar route, Linda reflected on the strange and wonderful turns that life could take. She'd spent 18 years protecting people whose names appeared in history textbooks and whose decisions affected millions of lives. Now she spent her days protecting people whose names appeared on birthday party invitations and whose biggest decisions involved which crayon to use for their artwork. Both jobs had required exactly the same core skills: constant vigilance, quick thinking under pressure, absolute dedication to keeping others safe, and the ability to make split-second decisions that could mean the difference between safety and disaster. The only real difference was that now, Instead of scanning for international threats and political assassins, she watched for playground bullies and checked that backpack straps were properly secured. And somehow, Linda realized as she listened to the happy chatter of children discussing their plans for the day, this felt like the more important mission. Agent Linda Thompson had protected presidents and prime ministers, foreign dignitaries, and domestic officials. She'd been responsible for the safety of people who shaped international policy and influenced global events. But Mrs. Linda protected something infinitely more precious: the laughter and dreams and unlimited potential of children who would someday grow up to shape a better world. The black SUV was gone, towed away with its occupants in federal custody. But Linda's commitment remained exactly the same as it had been for 18 years in federal service and 12 years in retirement, to ensure that the most important cargo in the world, the future itself, always reached its destination safely. Some heroes wear suits and carry diplomatic credentials. Others wear name tags and carry first aid kits, making sure that every child who gets on their bus in the morning also gets off safely in the afternoon. Linda Thompson had been both kinds of hero, and she knew without question which one mattered more.